he was, to make sure that he was okay. So when I seen him coming from in the house, I was like, all right, he's fine. Let me go home. I don't know what's going on.
Didn't concern you?
No, sir.
So you're claiming that you left before the police even got there?
Yes, sir.
And you're claiming that you were there at the time of the event?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you didn't say anything about your observations that night to the police, did you?
No, there was too much chaos going on. I was like, let me just wait till tomorrow where I can catch an officer and have one-on-one conversation.
Too much chaos going on, but
yes,
not
like,
when you left, according to you.
No, not when I left. I mean, I watched the news. I mean, a lot of people were starting to come as I was leaving.
Okay. You watched the news, and you knew at that point that your boyfriend was the prime suspect in this shooting, right?
As they were putting it, yes.
Okay. So you knew that night, and so you waited until the next morning to go tell the police?
That I wrote my report, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote my report the next day.
And that's when you went and you met with the officer, Officer Blanca.
Yes.
Made contact with him the next morning.
Yes.
Not that night when you knew that your boyfriend was a prime suspect in shooting two people, right?
Correct.
You had a conversation with Mr. Butts that night, trying to develop an alibi for him, didn't you?
No, sir.
Just
I hadn't
decided
talked to
that
him
on
at
your
all.
own, did you, ma'am?
An alibi? No. I just spoke on what I knew. What I have seen, what I've observed.
What you thought might help your boyfriend in this case.
No.
Right?
No.
You didn't think that would help him?
Not that I thought it would help him. I'm speaking my opinions. Like, that's what I've seen. They want to know, did anybody see anything, or if you know any little bit of information. So I was like, okay. Everything has calmed down the next day after watching the news. So when I seen an officer, I gave him the little bit of information that I knew of.
Now, your house was just around the corner from here, right?
A few blocks, yes.
A few blocks. You knew that there was a lot of police presence out there that night, right?
Yes.
Police were there for, I think we've heard anywhere up to 5 hours. There were a bunch of police around. You didn't go tell them anything that night? Close by, right?
I didn't say
Could have,
anything.
right?
Correct.
And you did. Your boyfriend, Daquan Butts, is known as Bobo in the neighborhood, right?
Yes. He actually has 2 nicknames.
He has 2 nicknames.
Majority of the time, they don't really call him that. They call him Slime.
They what?
Slime.
Slime?
Yes.
So either Slime or Bobo. He answers
Yes.
to both. Okay. And did you speak with Sabrina about this?
No.
Now, Sabrina's not a girlfriend with Bobo,
No.
is she?
No.
Would Sabrina have been in a position to see this as well?
I mean, she probably seen the little boy, but as the same thing, she minded her business. She went back in her house, didn't want anything to do with it, but I can't speak for her.
fabricated your testimony the day after this event.
Objection, Your Honor.
In
Sustained,
an effort to make
rephrase,
this question.
if you'll rephrase it.
Ma'am, isn't it true that you fabricated your testimony the
Objection, Your Honor.
Let him finish.
the next day after you learned that your boyfriend, Bobo, was a suspect and tried to develop testimony or a statement that would help him?
I'm sorry, what does fabricated mean?
Make up a story that isn't true.
No.
May I have a moment, please?
Yes, you may.
Showing you State's Exhibit 4. You recognize that building?
Yes.
And is that the building that you saw or claim to have seen Mr. Butts coming from the direction of?
That, I believe so. I mean, it's kind of dark. It was broad daylight, and the picture is dark. It was daylight when I seen him, so
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's the exact spot, but where I seen him coming from, there was no basketball hoop.
You recognize that basketball hoop in that tree?
A little bit, yeah.
In that green car over here? I'll show you a better picture of that. Recognize those photographs?
No.
Did you know the adult male victim?
No.
How was he dressed? Colored.
I think he had a white muscle shirt on, and probably some shorts, I believe.
What color were the shorts?
I don't remember.
He had a white muscle shirt, you said?
Yes.
And how was the little boy dressed?
He had jeans. I think he had jeans on and a shirt.
Color was his shirt?
That I don't remember. Probably a gray.
Gray. Okay. I think that's all.
Thank you. Any redirect?
How much time did you spend observing the two people laying on the ground?
Not too much time.
Did you
Probably
spend
like
enough
5.
time trying to figure out what they were wearing?
No, that was
Clothing?
no, that wasn't my concern.
Now, a lot of emphasis has been put on the statement that you've made to law enforcement. Now, you've testified today that you heard shots and you came out.
Yes, sir.
Did you believe at the time of the shooting that you had any relevant information that you could provide to law enforcement that might assist in them trying to apprehend somebody who may have done the shooting?
Yes, I mean, yes, I heard shooting. There were people saying it was cars because a few cars had passed by.
But did you see
But
anybody doing the
did I
shooting?
see anybody? No.
So you couldn't have gone to the law enforcement officers that were on scene and said, here's what I know about the shooting. Did you know anything about the shooting?
Not exactly. I just knew what I heard and what I've observed, which is what I've stated.
And you told law enforcement about what you observed and what you stated after the fact?
Yes.
The next day?
Yes.
You hadn't seen Mr. Butts do any shooting?
No, sir.
You hadn't seen any individual do any shooting?
No, sir.
So you couldn't give any description of a person who might be a person of interest?
No, sir. None.
Did you observe or hear anything on the news that led you to believe that they may think that Daquan was the shooter?
I mean, I've seen on the news that they said he could have been a suspect
and at
because
that
he was
point-
there at that moment.
And at that point in time, did you then decide, hey, I better go and say what I saw?
No.
Then
I
why
was
did you-
going to tell them the next day regardless what I thought had happened or what I had seen happen.
Okay.
Being that, like, I mean, I heard the gunshots. I stepped off to the porch. A few cars did have fled the scene. And the little boy and the man were in the street. And I still had seen him come from wherever he came from, that house down the street, and a few people coming back as well to see what was going on. We were all just seeing what was going on, at least to the best of my knowledge. That's what it seemed like.
So on the date of the shooting, you didn't really have any good information that would lead them toward a suspect? And once you heard they had a suspect, then you said, I need to put out the information that I have?
No, I was going to say what I had seen regardless.
Okay. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Any Reed.
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. May Ms. Duarte be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, ma'am. You are excused. Councilwoman Pritch? Up a brief matter outside your presence, so if you'll please put your notepads face down and follow the deputy back into the jury room. Okay, we'll be in recess for 10 minutes.
saying, what the girl is saying. You're right. You got stuff. I really think him like, I really think
Change any instruction? Do I need to change any instruction? No. Like the giant?
Remain seated for the back session.
Okay, we're back on the record. Mr. Butts, yesterday before we recessed, I had informed you of your rights, your right to remain silent, and during this trial you do not have to testify, but if you wanted to, you could, and told you that I asked you if you would please talk to your attorney and have discussions with them about that. And have you talked to both Mr. Bryson and Ms. Parker about that matter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did you need additional time to talk to them?
No, ma'am.
All right, and based upon your conversations with them, have you made a decision as to whether or not you're going to testify?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that decision?
No, ma'am.
You're not going to testify? Did anybody make any promises to you in order to you to decide not to testify?
No, ma'am.
Has anybody threatened you?
No, ma'am.
Are you doing this of your own free will?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. Were there any other witnesses that you wanted either Ms. Parker or Mr. Bryson to call on your behalf?
No, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with the representation?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there going to be any rebuttal from the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so what we'll do is when we bring the jury back in, we'll have this defense rest on the record. Do you need some more time to get ready for your closings? Because they're already out there. Oh, we needed 3.9 weighing the evidence.
I'd like maybe 5 minutes. Been getting this, if I could just go down 5 minutes to get ready for
Okay.
closing.
Sure. There's 3.9 weighing the evidence with 1 through 6, 6 being that an inconsistent statement. It also deleted the defendant testifying. Is there any objections to the new 3.9?
Yes, Your Honor, because I don't know what inconsistent statement has been made.
Okay, what inconsistent statement?
I think, arguably, the one, it's to their benefit. I think the one that the Miss Jones, where they were trying to say that she originally said the person had gold facial hair. I think she explained that. Technically, she acknowledged that statement.
If you don't want that in,
I don't think we need it. It's not going to be the focus of my attention.
Let me call up my secretary.
I could do it.
You can do it.
okay, with them just being the 1 through 5, is the rest of the 3.9 acceptable?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and then we will have the 3.9A, defendant not testifying. Any objections from the state?
No.
Any objections from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Is there any other instructions being requested by the state,
No.
by the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Right, as soon as I get that, we'll take another 5-minute recess so you can get ready for your closing arguments. Yes. Okay, with the new amended 3.9, any objections?
No, Your Honor.
All right, we're set on our jury instructions, so being recessed, just let us know when you're ready to do your closing, and then again, when the jury comes in, you'll rest on the record. Let me know when you're ready.
Yes. Yes.
We're ready.